Welcome to News Central now, reaching you live from Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Chuks Ene, and here are the major stories at this hour. 28 abducted students in northwest Nigeria regained their freedom. Somalia postpones long-delayed presidential and parliamentary elections. South Africa drops COVID-19 restrictions to level 3 lockdown. We have details shortly. The news begins in West Africa, where 5 members of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria and 3 others who were kidnapped in the southern state of Rivers on Monday regained their freedom. A statement from the union said the release of the abducted persons was sequel to the intervention of the head of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency and other stakeholders. The statement says the abductees were believed to be in good physical condition and adds that a detailed report on the circumstances surrounding the abduction will be provided later in the week. The abductees were traveling to Port Harcourt from Kula area in Akukutoru local government area of Rivers State, and they were abducted. Now, still on abductions in Nigeria, 28 students of the Bethel Baptist High School in the northwestern state of Kaduna have regained their freedom 20 days after they were kidnapped by bandits. Chairman of the Christian Association in the state, Joseph Hayab, confirmed the release today. The freed students are part of the total of 121 who were abducted from their hostels on July 5. The Association of Foreign Public Relations Professionals have tasked Nigeria's federal government to adopt diplomacy as a means to ending the current insecurity situation in the country. Members of the association, made up of former career diplomats, gave the advice while speaking to reporters in Abuja. They say diplomacy has proven over the years to be a workable solution to achieving global peace worldwide. National President of the association, Dr. Gani Lawal, said diplomacy can be used as a weapon to achieve peace on the continent, considering the devastating effects of insurgency and terrorism, which has left thousands dead, with many more Africans displaced.
The end of every war ends on the negotiation table, and that is where diplomacy comes in. So with deploying our experience and expertise in diplomacy, we can actually melt combatants and get them to embrace peaceful ways of resolving whatever is the difference. That is the reason why we are now trying to interrogate, what are the ways and manners by which diplomacy can be brought to bear on resolving this problem of insurgency and terrorism.
Diplomacy actually is antithetical to war, to violence, to all what is very common in the world now. So the peace that we have in the world now, the global peace, the semblance of peace that permeates all over the world now, you will see it's as a result of diplomacy. We do not want war. And of course, our campaign is always to advise government or whoever is there, give them the options that you don't need to, this thing will not pay anybody. If there is war, look at this banditry that is happening in Nigeria now and kidnapping, you can see the way it has disoriented our economy. People cannot go into their farm again. All these things are not good. They are not good for development. And these are one of the things that...
Now, still in Nigeria, the country's anti-drug agency has arrested the head of a transport union in the southwestern state of Ekiti and 2 others for trafficking in illicit drugs. The Nigeria Drug Law Enforcement Agency said in a statement on Sunday that the 3 men were caught with 52.5 kilograms of skunk in neighboring Ondo State, following intelligence reports that they were conveying bags of the banned drug. In another incident, officers of the agency intercepted a 29-year-old with 124,000 tablets of tramadol, diazepam, and XL5, with a combined weight of 22.5 kilograms. In East Africa, a former member of Kenya's parliament representing Central Imenti died in hospital early Sunday while undergoing treatment for diabetes. Gideon Mwiti's death was announced by his personal assistant, Frank Muturi, who said the former MP died at Kenyatta Teaching and Referral Hospital at 4 a.m. today, 2 hours after he had been rushed there. Mr. Muturi said Mwiti, a former member of the Alliance Party of Kenya, had been battling with diabetes for several years. Mwiti, who served as MP from 2013 to 2017, retired from active politics in 2017 to venture into private business. In neighboring Uganda, the Meteorological Department has warned of strong winds and large waves on Lake Victoria, Africa's largest freshwater lake. A statement from the agency said sailors and islanders are likely to be affected by the changing weather patterns. It said the lake is expected to experience strong winds of 25 knots and very large waves of more than 2 meters, which are likely to have reduced by Monday. The agency said the strong winds may blow off the roofs, uproot trees, and cause structural damage. Lake Victoria is shared by Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. In the Horn of Africa, the president of Ethiopia's Amhara region has called on all residents holding arms to mobilize against rebels from neighboring Tigray. Agegnehu Teshaga called on all people of age to start mobilizing from tomorrow, Monday, for what he called a survival campaign. The call to arms from Mr. Agegnehu follows a similar statement on Friday by the leader of Ethiopia's Afar region, which led to fears that the 8-month-long conflict in Tigray could spread. Somalia has postponed parliamentary and presidential elections that were due to start on Sunday, with 4 days of voting for the upper house by state delegates. The election cycle was due to end with a presidential poll on October 10. A spokesman for the federal government, Mohammed Ibrahim Mwalimu, said the elections were postponed without providing details. However, an AFP report said the delay was due to the fact that federal regions were neither able to submit a list of candidates on time nor from the local committees to cast the ballots. Somalia has not held a direct one-person, one-vote election since 1969, when dictator Siad Barre led a coup and went on to rule for 2 decades. Coming up, President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced an adjustment of South Africa's COVID-19 lockdown from level 4 to level 3. We have details about this when we come back from this break. Welcome back. Our continued coverage of the coronavirus across Africa begins in the southern part of the continent, where President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa has eased COVID-19 lockdown restrictions in the country. The easing is as a result of a drop in active COVID-19 cases and concerns for the economy. It also comes just 2 weeks after parts of the country was thrown into chaos by unrest and looting that cost billions of rands in damage. Addressing the nation earlier this evening, President Ramaphosa said the country had been fighting 2 battles, instability and COVID-19. The country had marshaled all its resources to tackle these 2 challenges. Ramaphosa also introduced a raft of relief measures for people and businesses who had been affected by both the pandemic as well as the unrest. Now joining us this evening is South African editor and journalist Candice Bailey. Candice, thanks for joining us. Now, let's go straight to the issues. Let's start with a rundown of what this adjustment and the restriction means for the country in terms of the current restrictions in South Africa.
Good evening, Chooks. Indeed. So South Africa is in day 486 of its lockdown, and this evening's announcement by the president that we head back to level 3 is certainly good news for the liquor industry, for restaurants, for tavern owners, and for churches. They'll all be able to open now. The liquor industry, however, won't be able to sell alcohol over weekends, but still some relief for them, as they will be. They'll have the sale of alcohol from Mondays to Thursdays. The president did say that we're not out of the woods yet. Our active rates, our active COVID cases are still at about 12,000 a day, and there are still concerns in 3 provinces. But he did say that it appears that we are past the worst part of the 3rd wave as we speak.
Now, in your view, would you say the president's adjusting of the COVID-19 lockdown in the country, was it due to pressure or actually due to a fact based on empirical facts that the measures of the level 4 lockdown had gotten positive results?
Look, I think it was a bit of both, Chooks. I think that there was a lot of pressure from particularly the liquor industry over the past month. It's about 28 days that they've been unable to trade, and liquor is quite a significant boost for our economy. So I think that they have been suffering. The liquor industry did take the government to court last week. It did lose its application, but I do think that there was pressure on them, particularly as a result of the unrest and the looting that took place in KZN and parts of Gauteng, and that would have really also hurt them in terms of their stockpiles that they were keeping.
Now let's look at some of the measures that the presidents have announced. Let's unpack them. What do you think is behind these measures? What's the thinking behind it?
Look, Chooks, I think that the government's really at pains to show that it's a caring government, and it does understand the hardship that a lot of the South Africans are going through at the moment. I mean, at the top of the list of measures that were reintroduced, I should say, is a COVID relief grant or stipend that was introduced last year and will now be reintroduced. And up until March 2022, it's a 350 Rand stipend, which is about $25, but it's much needed for people who have been affected by COVID, who have been unable to work in this time. Another measure that he is bringing in is sectors that have had to close over the past month. They can have a grant or a fund where they can claim some of the funds back from the time that they were closed, and that would also go a long way to help those sectors that were affected, particularly the restaurant, the tourism, and the liquor industry. Another measure that he spoke about is that it was with regard to the unrest and the looting and the businesses that were affected by these incidents last week. He did say that the government's the state insurance agency will be processing all the claims related to businesses that were insured and them claiming back. But those who were not insured, those businesses will also seem to get some relief. It looks like the government is putting together a package, a relief package for them. He did not give us any detail, but he did say that they are considering how they can assist those uninsured businesses to get back onto their feet. Obviously, there's also food relief programs that are running as we speak and that have been running for the past 2 weeks or so.
I'll come back to the issue of the unrest in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, Candice, but let's go back to the vaccination issue. The president spoke about the vaccination campaign, saying it's been boosted quite significantly. Tell us more about this.
Indeed, he did say that we've made significant strides, and you may remember that in the past week or so, the government has opened up vaccinations to the cohort of people between the ages of 35 and 49, and I think that cohort of people have been quite eager to get vaccinated in the past week, and as a result, our numbers have skyrocketed. We've now vaccinated about 6.3 million people, which is about 10% of our population, which is a good sign and a good move towards us vaccinating about 40% of our population by the end of the year. He did say that last week we were only vaccinating about 100,000 people a day, and now we've moved up to 240,000, which is quite a significant jump for us. Another good move in terms of vaccination is that from the 1st of September, people between the ages of 18 and 34 will be able to be vaccinated, and that will also then boost our numbers quite significantly in weeks to come.
Right, before I let you go, Candice, the president gave us an update on the unrest in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. What's the latest on that front? Have things normalized?
Things have normalized to a certain extent, Chuk. So what I can say is that it appears that the situation is not as volatile as it was last week, but there's still quite a significant police and South African National Defence Force presence on the ground. What the president said to the nation this evening was that there are still some areas of concern where there are hotspots, and they are monitoring those areas quite vigilantly to make sure that nothing erupts. But there has been a great outpouring from South Africans and help and assistance, which has been good. He was at pains to mention once again that the instigators would be arrested, and that those investigations are continuing, and that no stone would be unturned to make sure that those who were responsible for these incidents would be held to account.
We'll have to drop it there now. Candice, thank you so much for the update.
Thanks, Chooks.
All right, moving on. In Zimbabwe, the country received the 6th batch of COVID-19 vaccines from China as the Southern African country ramps up its vaccination drive to tame the spread of COVID-19. The latest delivery of Sinovac vaccines comes as the country is scaling up its vaccination program in the wake of the third wave of infections that has pushed the total number of COVID-19 deaths to over 3,000. To date, Zimbabwe has recorded more than 97,000 COVID-19 cases, including over 64,000 recoveries. The country is targeting to inoculate at least 10 million of its approximately 14 million citizens by the end of the year to achieve herd immunity. Now, the positivity rate of COVID-19 infections in Kenya has dropped to 12.2% from a record 13.9% reported on Saturday, after 664 new infections were recorded. The Ministry of Health said on Sunday that the youngest of the newly infected was 3 months old, while the oldest was 98. The Health Ministry said the death toll increased by 16, but explained that only one occurred over the past 24 hours. It said the rest were late deaths reported confirmed after the audit of facility records in July. It said another 201 patients had recovered from the disease, while more than 1,200 have been admitted to health facilities across the country. Rwanda's government has announced a 5-day extension of the COVID-19 restrictions starting July 27. The East African country went into a lockdown in the capital, Kigali, and 8 other districts for 10 days from July 17 amid a spike in daily new infections. The current restrictions prohibit the public from leaving their homes except for essential services. It prohibits the use of public transport except for the transportation of people who carry out essential services, and also prohibits the operations of motorcycles and bicycles. Outdoor sports and recreational activities are also prohibited, and schools and higher education institutions remain closed. A nationwide vaccination campaign is also underway. So far, over 425,000 people have been fully vaccinated. Now, in North Africa, hundreds of Tunisians took to the streets of the capital, Tunis, and several other cities to demand the resignation of the government over its handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Cases have been rising sharply in recent weeks, putting further pressure on the economy. The protest comes after Prime Minister Hichem Mechichi sacked the health minister last week. Overall, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Africa reached 6.41 million, according to the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The Continental Health Agency, in its latest update, said the death toll from the pandemic stands above 162,000, while more than 5.6 million patients across the continent have recovered from the disease. Africa CDC says South Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, and Ethiopia are the countries with the most cases in the continent. When we return from this next break, a light in the sky has left Norwegians awestruck, and experts are hunting for a meteor. We'll tell you more about this when we come back. Welcome back. Norwegians were left awestruck by what experts say was an unusual large meteor that illuminated the night sky in the country's southeast. Footage shows powerful flashes of light over Norway, followed by what witnesses described as loud bangs on Sunday. Norwegian police say they received a flurry of emergency calls, but there were no reports of injuries or damage. A team of experts are now hunting for the meteor, which they believe landed in the capital, Oslo. 2 international airports in the Chinese city of Shanghai have cancelled all flights, and authorities have banned outdoor activities as Typhoon Infa made landfall in eastern China with high winds and heavy rains. The typhoon landed in Putuo district of the city, Zhoushan, at 12:30 p.m. local time on Sunday. The storm hit as central China was still reeling from record flooding that killed at least 58. It cut off power and forced the relocation of more than 1 million people. The typhoon earlier dumped rain on Taiwan and knocked down 3 branches, but no deaths or injuries have been reported. In business, Nigeria is set to partner with the United Nations Children's Fund to empower 20 million youths by 2030. The initiative, tagged Generation Unlimited, which will be launched on Monday in Abuja, targets 20 million persons between the age of 10 and 24. UNICEF country representative Peter Hawkins said the initiative will be replicated in many countries with 1.8 billion young people targeted around the world. He said UNICEF was particularly focused on making a connection between the skills and opportunities for employment and entrepreneurship to try to develop skills that jobs require. Now to sports. Tunisian swimmer Ahmed Hafnaoui took a shock gold medal in the men's 400-meter freestyle on Sunday. The 18-year-old won from the outside lane after qualifying slowest, but finished with a stunning pace to beat Australia's Jack McLaughlin with a time of 3 minutes 43.36 seconds. U.S. swimmer Kieran Smith took bronze at the Tokyo Aquatics Center. Nui competed in the 2018 Youth Olympic Games, finishing 8th in the 400 meters and 7th in the 800 meters. He will have a second shot at gold as he competes in the 800-meter freestyle, with heat starting on Tuesday. Still in Olympic swimming, South Africa's Tatiana Schoenmaker has set a new event record in the 100 meters breaststroke as she begins a bid for double Olympic gold. Schoenmaker stopped the clock in a new Olympic record of 1 minute, 4.82 seconds, slashing a personal best of 1 minute, 5.74 seconds by nearly a second. She, however, still trails defending champion, American Lily King, on the 2021 world list, with her best this year being 1 minute, 4.72 seconds. And the last sports we'll tell you this night, world #1 female tennis player Ashley Barty was stunned by Spain's Sara Sorribes Tormo in the first round of the women's Olympic singles in Tokyo. The Australian, who won a second Grand Slam title at Wimbledon in July, lost 6-4, 6-3 to the 48th-ranked Spaniard. The victory is the biggest of Tormo's career. And just before we go, let's quickly give you a recap of the major stories. 28 students abducted from their hostel in Nigeria's northwestern state of Kaduna have regained their freedom. Somalia has further postponed its long-delayed presidential and parliamentary elections. South Africa has moved to level 3 COVID-19 lockdown restrictions. Very many thanks for watching. Remember, you can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can download our mobile app on the App Store and the Play Store. You can also watch News Central live on Star Times Channel 274, AVO TV Channel 23, Vision 247, Free TV, and YouTube. My name is Jukes Ene.